are 3 minutes remaining before the show starts. Still plenty of time to visit the refreshment stand for a tasty treat. There are 2 minutes remaining before the show starts. The show will start in 1 minute. The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Everybody sing, with Noj and Pelach. Hello, I'm Myrna Loy. Thank you very much to my dear pal Gary Peer, who runs a website called ukulelea.com, by the way, for pointing me at that Coyle and Sharp selection, and no relation that I know of. Although in the mid-1900s, somewhere, in the mid-1800s, the mid-19th century, there was a very great uncle. He was pretty good, at least. A very great uncle called Peter Coyle, who went over to America from the old country and essentially disappeared. So who knows? Could be some relation there. My name is John Stephen Coyle, actually, and I run a snooty high-end acoustic guitar shop, but I do not speak for my employer when I do these videos. It's Monday, April 19th, if you're watching this on Monday, April 19th. Duh. And per our steadfast refusal around here to stand on stuffy old chronology, that's just 8 days past my own dear Miss Valerie May's birthday, and just 2 days before my own. So please, friends, let's hear it for us. I'll just wait for that ovation to die down, Ducky. There we go. There it went. Thank you. You know who you are. We're simulcasting tonight. Instead of going just to Facebook or just to YouTube, we're going to both Facebook friends and YouTubers, sheep and goats, ladyfingers and mentos. Welcome to the Monday Night Thing, April 19th edition. As always, I'm hoping that you're all staying safe and sane for yourselves, of course, as well as for several non-you people that are out there in the world. By doing the jab and jive. I posted these lyrics on Facebook last week and I had a number of requests to actually play it. One is a number, right? And it goes something like this. Oh, wait a minute. I wrote it. It goes exactly like this. I love you and I love me. I love the Java Jive and it loves me. Fauci said free and the couch is for me. I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Ah, that's it. Thank you. Good night. Do we have time for one more? Today is Monday. You know what that means. We're going to have a special guest star, boys and girls, and it's none other than Tom Noddy. Boy, are you in for a treat, and me too. He'll be here soon to absolutely blow your minds and to hip us all to all things bubble. Speaking of which, a big and particular welcome to newcomers to our studio audience, perhaps here from Tom Noddy's pan-galactic and truly international fan club. Thanks for tuning in all, and salute. 6th grade, that's what I learned in 6th grade. I'll do it again. You're welcome. Housekeeping details. New viewer or repeat offender, please type in a hello if you don't mind identifying yourself. If you're the shy type and find yourself stuck for something to say, maybe tell us where you're webbing in from. Send a virtual postcard, in a sense, from wherever you are. We're always interested in knowing where the faraway prize goes, with people from Sweden and Switzerland and some of those other S countries, Swaziland, I don't know. And maybe you can beat that, but where are you webbing in from? That's always interesting and kind of Dick Tracy. It's kind of cool to know how far the signal is reaching. Can you hear me? Can you hear me on the walkie-talkies? Can you hear me? Perhaps you could tell us, if you're stuck for something to say, how you heard of the show. The marketing department is always interested in that information. And the question of the hour, literally, is, should we move and you could type in your vibe on this, should we move the time up to accommodate East Coasters? Maybe push this back to 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 6:30. Let us know what you think, especially if you're on the East Coast. If you're not, you can really stick it to them by just leaving it at 7:30. 7:25 is when the jungle noises start. Tom and I are, we have a question already. Yes, in back there.
I can't see your guitar in the dark.
Oh, if you want to see the guitar, that's Arden, isn't it? Arden, that's you, isn't it? You know what? I'm not sure there's going to be anything worth seeing.
No, it's
but
not Arden.
Wasn't really. How about that? Another guitar nerd. You know what? I'll try and shift over into the light when the time is right. I was about to say, Tom and I are busking tonight. As always, this is busking. Donations are not expected, but they are always welcome. And this is not the Jerry Lewis telethon. I won't be sweating or weeping or falling asleep on my feet. But on the plus side, there won't be any appearances by Tony Orlando or Charo either. So the right hand giveth and all that. And speaking of giveth, your donations are not only most welcome, but they will be split right down the middle between me and Tom Noddy. PayPals and Venmos, here's the information. There you go. There's for the PayPals and the Venmofos, you Venmothers. Here are the links. As always, the magic number around here every week is 20. With any $20 tip jar donation, you get a free CD. Magic. It's just like magic. It's my 10-1 CD, and here it is. Thank you, Ducky. This tells a story about one day in the life of a Mr. Oster, who might very well be listening and watching in right now. So if you donate $20, please do type in your mailing address so I know where to send the CD. I can be more prompt about sending your free CD. Free, free, free. I may have mentioned every goddamn show that Barry Melton, the Fish, of Country Joe and the Fish, called the album genius. But then again, as I also mention almost every show, tastes vary. Some people make cocktail weenies in lime jello, and then they actually eat that instead of simply enjoying it as a crafts project or a wiggly sculpture. Oh, wiggly sculpture, band name, dibs. I got that. After the show, let's make a note. Get wigglysculpture.com. Now, if you're not able to make any sort of financial contribution tonight, perhaps you Facebookers would considering making a karmic donation by sharing this webcast to your own timeline, or perhaps hipping a friend or two of yours in a text message that this thing is happening right now. That's for you Facebookers. You YouTubers, you spuds, please consider clicking on the subscribe box and or ticking the notifications bell, the little bell icon right next to it, if you'd like to be summoned whenever I go live, which will be mostly Monday nights at 7:25 Pacific Daylight Time. Sure, you can run that down a little bit if you want. Flip that little doodad there. Did that give more light on the guitar? put more light on my t-shirt, that's for sure. Thematic or what? Tonight's show is brought to you by the letters and numbers HR1 and SR1 and the number almost 65. And by a famous bath time product which shall remain nameless until the time is right. Our most excellent producer, executive producer, Miss Valerie May, is in the booth and at the controls, and we're all in good hands. Thank you, Miss Valerie. She's here to field your questions and comments and requests and to pass them along, and she can now monitor both the Facebook and the YouTube crawls, so chat it up. And I'll keep an eye on the YouTube crawl. She'll kind of focus on Facebook. So thank you, Ducky. Thanks for all of that. On the very rare occasions that I played this song I'm going to play for you, and this is a long-standing tradition here with myself and with my music partner, Glenn Houston, of the Quitters, late of Houston Jones, pardon me. Playing songs we don't know, but we've heard and we think we can probably stumble through. This is going to be one of those. Not only have I only played it rarely, but I've never played it in this key. But I usually play this in the key of G. But when I saw my pal Bill Kirchin did it in one of his webcasts in the key of E, it looked like a lot of fun. So for those of you dancing tonight, this will be in the key of E. Make sure we've got everything in the picture here. I am a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this wearisome land. Well, I've got a home in that yonder city, good Lord, and it's not, good Lord, and it's not made by hand. I've got a mother, a sister and a brother who have gone this way before, and I am determined to go and see them, good Lord, over on, good Lordy, over on that other shore. As I go down to the river of Jordan, just to bathe my weary soul. If I could touch but just the hem of his garment, good Lord, I believe, good Lordy, I believe it would make me whole. I blame the schools. In my coffin, all of my friends all gathered round. They can say that he's just laying there sleeping, good Lord, sweet peace, Lordy, sweet peace, the soul is found. Everybody, a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this wearisome land, and I got a home in that yonder city, good Lord, and it's not made by hand. One more chorus. I am a pilgrim and a stranger traveling through this wearisome land, and I got a home in that yonder city, good Lord, and it's not, good Lordy, and it's not made by hand, and it's not, good Lordy, and it's not made by hand. Thank you very much. think you're supposed to do that at the end of songs. Shake your guitar. I got to get better at that. Pretty soon, folks, we're going to have Tom Noddy come out here, the bubble man, the bubble guy. He's come to entertain us. But first, a word from our never more thematically correct sponsor for the evening. Hit it, Ducky.
Hubert, bath time. Grandma has a surprise for you. Where's that little scamp?
Is it a rocket?
You can't see it. Not until you get into that tub.
It's a horse.
It is not. It's Mr. Bubble, and he'll get you so clean your mother won't know you. Where is he, the little rascal? Pinky, what are you doing in Hubert's tub? Oh, you're a nuisance. Now, Hubert, I expect to find you in that tub with Mr. Bubble.
Madam, how do you do?
Ah, a man. There's a man in the bathtub. Operator. A man in the bathtub.
Grandma, it's me.
Oh, the little scamp. Was that him? It was you, Hubert. And you're so clean your mother won't know you. Come now, it's bedtime.
Yes, Mr. Bubble gets you so clean your mother won't know you. Tell her it leaves no bathtubing. She'll like that.
She'll. Oh, are we muted? No, we're swinging.
You weren't. Repeat what you said.
I was saying something fascinating. Pretty soon, folks, we're going to have Tom Noddy come out and entertain us. He's the bubble guy. And now, as I was saying, from the ridiculous to the ridiculously sublime, Miss Valerie has gone down the hall to retrieve Tom Noddy to knock on his green room door, and he'll be here soon. So get comfy because you're not going to want to miss this. Tom's Bubble Magic has been presented on television shows all over the world. Universities, physics and mathematics conferences, variety theaters, science and discovery centers, nightclubs, corporate events and galas, innumerable entertainment and education venues. Why, the New York Times, who don't like much of anything, said recently, the bubble guy, Tom Noddy, with beautiful constructions made entirely out of soap bubbles, made his jaded adult audience literally gasp. I'm a witness myself, and I'm here to testify. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled to host one of the icons of variety. Here comes Tom Noddy.
Hey.
And there he is. Hello, Tom.
There I is.
There you is. There
All right,
you be.
good.
Terrific.
And the sound is good? Testing 1, 2, testing me, testing
I think so,
you?
folks. What do you think? Is Tom sounding good? Is he sounding groovy?
All right, good.
We'll find out. So far, so good, Tom. I think we can proceed.
All right, good. So, yeah, good, fun. Oh, boy.
Tom, how did we meet each other? I know I saw you before Moisture Festival, but I think it might have been at Moisture Fest.
Yeah, Moisture Festival in Seattle every year. A number of the new vaudeville crowd. There were a number of, many of us started as street performers, and we found each other, and we ended up doing this thing, new vaudeville up and down the West Coast, and others were doing it in other parts of the country, and we hooked up, and then eventually in Seattle, we said, hey, let's make it be an annual thing. And so yet it is. And I think we just had 17 years. We did our...
Crank, I didn't know it was that many. Terrific.
Yeah, we did a virtual one this year, of course.
Yeah.
But it was really fabulous. Actually, they're going to run those same virtual shows in May, mid-May.
I saw
moisturefestival.org.
Right.
In fact, you're in one of those shows.
I think I was in one of those.
Yeah, same
I've
shows.
Been
No,
enough to be invited back, even after that first time.
Yeah, you fit right in. You.
Amazing.
There were oddballs from all over the planet, and so of course Stevie Coyle.
It's just wonderful. Thank you. I was in great company. I really was. You said street entertainment. You started entertaining on the streets, did you, young man?
I did. I was, which soap bubbles on the streets. I mean, a little bit of wind, and I got nothing.
Oh man, right? Of course.
I can't make them do what I need them to do. But my show was actually with puppets. I called it Tom Noddy and the Traveling Puppets. Political, social, and spiritual satire with puppets. And so I would do street corners with that. And I had a God puppet, and I had a hippie puppet with a backpack on his back. And and I had a backpack on my back, and I was and
How
I traveled around doing that. Yeah,
how did you do? Was it kind of hand puppets in front of you or marionettes?
hand puppets. Yeah, I actually, when I wrote it with the idea that there would be a stage, there would be props, there would be sets. I would be hidden behind a black scrim. You would just see the puppets. But I never, I was living out of my backpack and traveling. So at first it was just because I didn't get that together. And I used to just tell people, okay, and so yeah, so someday there'll be a prop. And I would explain it, and while I'm explaining, the puppets started talking to me, and we'd get into arguments, and I became such a vital element to the show. A lot of the humor came out of this meta me and the puppets thing that
That's
eventually I
terrific.
did get the stage together. And as soon as I did, and I tried it out in San Francisco, and it just was so flat. There was nothing
It
there.
wasn't the same, was it? Right,
No, I
right.
got rid of the stage, and it's me and the puppets and
Yeah. I
puppet
had
souls.
a similar experience with the little circus that I traveled with, the Royal Liechtenstein Circus.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah.
had a trained house cat act. And it was great. I worked all summer on this thing. It was just this fabulous little act. And one cat wasn't having a good time, so we left him with a family somewhere. And the other cat had an undescended third testicle, so we found this out too late, so we had left him behind. And I was left with the one little kitty that didn't do anything, but was really cute. And it turned into a much better act. Just me trying to get this kitty to do anything but be cute. And
That's it.
it's sometimes, if you can't fix it, feature it, as they say.
That's it. That's right.
Fantastic.
So that was the act. I mean, the act was the puppet show.
And when was that, Tom?
But
When was that?
I was so bad. 1971, I started
Early
doing
70s,
it.
gotcha. Okay.
Central Park in New York, and then I hitchhiked across Europe But I was so bad at an important aspect of street performing, especially if you're gonna play a song, people might just come by and put coins, and some people you gather a crowd. Of course, that's the best. But when you have a play, beginning, middle, end, you really got to have the crowd first, and then you present. And I was really bad at that. I'd have the puppets on my hand. And hello, does anybody want to see? I have a little. Nobody comes to that.
Yeah. Oh,
New York
yes,
City,
right.
and I'm hello. But I found out I was doing bubble tricks at home. I was just starting to find some things, and I was a cigarette smoker in those days, and I would blow a smoke bubble out in Central Park or Washington Square Park or just some street corner, and I'd start bouncing it from arm to arm, just bouncing a smoke bubble. I wouldn't even look at people. But they would say, "Oh my God! Hey, come here! Look at this guy! Watch when it breaks! Watch!" And 8, 9, 12 people are gathered. And I don't have any bubble tricks. I don't have a bubble show. And then I would catch one of them. You'll see in a moment. I did the volcano, and the volcano was one that got a whoa reaction. There was this. It's funny sound. It's sort of a combination of laughing and ooh. but they made it together. They made this one sound together. I was just too shy to talk to passersby. I just hello. But as soon as they made this one sound together, that's an audience. I never had a problem with talking to an audience. And so it was, and now, folks, for Tom Noddy, the Traveling Puppets,
Yeah,
political,
yeah.
social, and spiritual satire with puppets, and I was on with the puppet show. I just needed the wind not to blow long enough for the bubble tricks to work to gather a crowd, and then little by little more bubble tricks until it became a bubble show, if I could get it indoors, because I really had to get out of the wind.
Right. And this was in New York City?
Well, it started out in New York, but I hitchhiked across Europe. I lived on Crete for 8 months. I lived 6 months in London, and eventually I came out west because there was a scene in San Francisco, and so I would hang out in the Wharf and the Powell Market and different spots in Berkeley campus a lot, but it's always windy in San Francisco. It's never calm enough at the
fact.
bubbles. It's either coming in or it's going up Fisherman's Wharf.
Oh, yeah, right.
So eventually, but I got to know all these street performers. I was part of the scene, but I couldn't show them my act. So I started booking halls and clubs, and I would make a variety show because I didn't have an evening's entertainment on my own. But I'd get this juggler and that girl singer and this thing, and and I'd present. And I would do bubbles and I would do puppets and I called it, at first I was calling it San Francisco Cabaret, but eventually I found out that in the Northwest, I met the Flying Karamazov brothers, and they were friends with Reverend Chumley, who up in the Northwest was doing the same thing, booking variety shows with street performers, only he called his vaudeville. And I went, no, Chumley's right. It's not cabaret. It's vaudeville.
Yeah. I see
I
what you
read
mean.
everything I could about old vaudeville. And I became an evangelist for the new vaudeville and tried to talk to the street performers. We're not street performers. We're the vaudevillians. It's just there's no vaudeville, but let's get in front of the together. And that's when we traveled together on the trains. Our kids learned from the older ones. We really had it together there for half a century or so in America when vaudeville was happening. So we
Fantastic.
needed a new vaudeville.
I want to go back and see it all.
Yeah, you bet.
Take me back,
Well,
Tom.
your family has vaudeville connections, is that right?
There's vaudeville, and my grandma was in vaudeville. Yeah, she played
Yeah,
piano
cool.
and was loved by theater owners in particular.
Yeah, cool.
Silent movie stuff, because she never played the same thing twice for the silent movies, and then and so people would come back just to see what Bertha was going to play this time on the same movie they just saw, and then she branched out into vaudeville stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, vaudeville eventually really kind of combined with movies for a while. There'd be a two-reeler and some acts. They'd have 2 or 3 acts.
I'd love that myself.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's not wouldn't be hugely popular now, but Valerie's shaking her head. She's saying, "Yeah, we'd love that.
Yeah.
Sign us up." Well, Tom, you gonna
So
do some bubbles for us?
sure, let me give you an idea of the act that I had. Some people who are looking at this are saying, "Boy, the lighting's really weird on him." Yeah, but it works for the bubbles. So
That's
that's what
talking
this is
bubbles
about. Okay, so yeah, let me tell you what it is that I do.
Take the screen,
I
Tom.
That was nice. So I'll tell you, I put bubbles inside of bubbles, smoke bubbles, clear bubbles, inside of smoke bubbles, inside of clear bubbles, inside out bubbles, yin yang bubbles, caterpillar bubbles, love bubbles, and a bubble cube. And the yin yang bubble is a double bubble, a smoke bubble and a clear bubble, the clear bubble and a smoke bubble and a smoke bubble and a clear bubble. It's my most difficult trick to say. It's not that hard to do. It's just really hard to say. So normally I would open with the caterpillar bubble, and I will here. This is the only one that's going to be longer than this screen can accommodate, but I'll give you an idea of it. Yeah, that's a caterpillar. See his antenna here at the top here? See his eyes? These guys can dance. So you ever seen break dance? See, it's a caterpillar doing the worm. You know why they call it break dance? Nobody knows why they call it break dance. Nobody knows. But it's a good one to start with because even in big theaters, people in the back can see the caterpillar. But some of the bubbles that I do are hard to see. So to help that happen, I've got this little tool here. It used to be, I mentioned that I used to smoke cigarettes to do this act. And back in the day, it's even hard to believe that it was. I was on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson 3 times, and people smoking on camera, no problem. And there were videos still out there on YouTube of me on the Tonight Show, me on some other shows, and kids are saying for the first, "Oh my God, he must be dead by now." Not, but I did find another way to get away from cigarettes. This device. It heats up a little bit of glycerin. Glycerin is with no nicotine and none of that. It just heats that into a vapor, and so it comes out like this. Yeah, that's a nuclear bubble. Don't worry, it's perfectly safe. No accidents are possible with nuclear. We just play with this stuff. You put one over here, you put one over there. Oops. That's okay. It was human error. Don't worry. If we have accidents with nuclear, we have backup systems. Back up, everybody. Back up. That's all they figured out so far. That's the whole plan. That's all they got. So, here, I'll show you the volcano. Actually, I call it the Mount St. Helens bubble. I was hitchhiking through Oregon, Washington, and I watched Mount St. Helens erupting. I'll show you what it looked like. It started with an earthquake. Then there was an eruption. Get me out of here. Whoa. There's one joke I lost since the cigarette, because then I would flick the ashes. Ashes all over Oregon, Washington, Idaho. It doesn't work anymore. Okay. So the the inside out bubble. Now the inside out bubble is a cheap trick. Remember I warned you, but it is an inside out bubble. Start with an ordinary bubble like that, right? Then if you take it back into here like this, and you turn this around, it's an inside out. It's a cheap trick. Okay, I only have a couple of cheap tricks. Let's get them out of the way. Nose bubbles. Okay. Some people really like the cheap tricks. I do. So this is Galactica. It's like stars and planets spinning in space. The final frontier. Bang. No, it's okay. It only tastes bad the first 2 years. It's an acquired taste. So, I want to dedicate this one to Valerie and Stevie. This is the love bubble. Okay, the time is right. Now, love is one of the most difficult tricks. Especially if you're looking for real love. And real love is when two become one. No, with this wire at it. Okay, wait. Here we go. All right. Well, to get love, you have to overcome surface tension. Scientists told me that. Okay, real love is oneness. Oh, come on. You've had that happen before. That happens. That happens to everybody. Come on. Give me that. If you want real love, you have to keep trying, y'all. Keep trying. Oh, yeah, wire. And real love, come on, you two. Real love is oneness. Yes. Oh, look at that. Babies. Really? Congratulations. Best wishes. Miss Manners said it's everybody goes. You can't do the same. Okay, never mind. Miss Manners. I love Miss Manners. You know Miss Manners? She's great. Somebody asked Miss Manners once, what does one say when introduced to a gay couple? Miss Manners said, "How do you do? How do you do?" I love Miss Manners. Okay. So this one, yeah, is I call it the Land of Oz bubble. Yeah, it is a tornado shape inside the bubble. Watch for the tornado inside the bubble. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'll do that. Before I do that, I'll show you a different bubble from the same movie. Auntie M. Auntie M. I love the Cheap Tricks. I really like the Cheap Tricks myself. Okay. We'll do the real thing, A Land of Ozbub. I did this one. Well, maybe I'll tell you that after. Okay, the Land of Oz. Here we go. Wire. Mm-hmm. Oh no! Oh no! I blew it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, and so it is going to is a Land of Oz. I'm going to joke.
Anthony.
Okay. Oh, it's okay. You get 3 tries with this one. I'm the bubble guy. Make up all the rules here.
Oh no! Oh yeah!
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. They once booked me to perform at all of the science in Oklahoma and all the science centers in Arkansas. That's Tornado Alley. They see a lot of tornadoes there. And I have to say, the people in Oklahoma, they liked my tornado even more than the regular ones. Very proud of that. So, let's see. I should mention what you're seeing here today. I think I worked it out. I think this year, finally I can use round numbers again. I think this is the 50th year that I'm doing playing with bubbles. It's an easy job, but somebody's got to do it. 50.
Whoa!
Imagine my father. There was a happy man. First the hair, then the bubbles. Thrilled, just thrilled. So this one showed to a friend of mine. He was studying physics at a university here in Santa Cruz. I live in Santa Cruz, California. And he was a physics major up at UCSC. And I told him I could do a bubble cube. And he thought about that. He said, no, Tom, you don't understand physics. He said, bubbles are minimal surface structures. They always pull into the smallest, tightest, most economical form possible, which is a sphere. That's why all the planets are spheres. All the stars are spheres. It's the most economic shape in nature. One force acting to pull everything toward the center, whether it's an electrical attraction, magnetic attraction, or gravity. One force pulling everything together leaves the outside in a minimal shape, which is a sphere. So bubbles, it's the electrical attraction called surface tension. They pull each other, trying to minimize. And so he said a bubble cube would be impossible. But he was studying physics, but he had an incomplete understanding of that science, which many of us have. Which all of us have. Einstein once said E equals mc squared might turn out to be a local phenomenon. But the physics major told me a bubble cube would be impossible. Nothing's impossible.
Oh.
Don't listen to the physics majors until you've also checked with the vaudevillians, okay? Ooh, that's nice. Look at that thing. Ooh,
What?
I know, it's spacey, that thing. Let's get rid of these guys. So just look at that whole smoke thing. That's stoner stuff right there.
You're seeing it too.
So, so as soon as he saw it, he explained it. Oh, of course, because bubbles. Or say, minimizing is because there's six bubbles around six sides, and so for the pressure, get it, yeah, right. So let me show you some other shapes. This one is a tetrahedron. It's a kind of a pyramid. It's not the square-based pyramids that the Egyptians built with a square floor and then 4 triangles to a point. This one is all triangles. So the floor is also a triangle. So it's 4 triangles. Tetra means 4. Tetrahedron, 4 sides. So Buckminster Fuller called this the primary shape. This is where 3D begins. If you wanted to enclose space with planes, you would 2 planes. There's no way to enclose space. 4 equal triangles can surround space and creates a tetrahedron. That's this. So 4 triangles. See how the walls bulge out? It's a spherical tetrahedron, Bucky's favorite. Now, if it had another bubble on the outside, it would be a triangular prism. 2 triangles, 3 rectangles. It's like the prism, the piece of glass you use to see the component colors of white light. Another one. Back to the cube. Ain't liquids fun? Get it. There we go. That I call a bubble house. Oh no.
I think, Tom, are you getting a call there? Pop me up for a second there, Ducky. Come on back to... Oh, no, there he is.
Yeah.
Y'all set, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good.
I just hung up on Frank Olivier. He tried to call in. I think he's not watching the show.
You must not be watching the show. Jeez.
I know.
Say hello
we'll
for
have
me.
to call him. I will.
He owes me $20,
Oh, yeah, I'll bet. One of the new vaudevillians from the Bay Area, too. Frank was one of the kids. He hung out in Fisherman's Wharf and stuff when the Flying Karamazov brothers were there, when all these big acts. And he was the kid on a unicycle from Berkeley who used to hang around and pick up tricks and pick up things, and then he took his show to Broadway, and then he took his show to the Tonight Show several times, and he's still performing internationally and in the Bay Area and doing corporate stuff, and the Bohemian Grove, and Frank Olivier. If you get a chance, check out Frank Olivier's shows. But right now you're doing Tom Noddy.
Oh, Tom, I forgot to ask you. Could I get fries with that order, please? Well, folks, hang on just a sec. We're going to see if we can get Tom Noddy back here. The problem is these cameras on the iPhone 11 Pro are really, really good, so you want to use it for that. But unless you shut the thing off, people can call you up repeatedly. But Tom is right. Frank Olivier is pretty darn good. He's no Tom Noddy. He's awful good. He's really, really funny Frank. So if you're looking for Frank Olivier or Funny Frank, and I think I found out something that I didn't know. Frank Olivier is the son, I think, maybe somebody can check me on this, another Bay Area person can check me on this, is the son of Barry Olivier, who taught thousands of people guitar all over the Bay Area in the 60s and 70s and 80s. I think that's right.
Can't use that one up.
You know what? Let's try that. Yeah, let's pop up Tom's monitor signal, and let's unmute him as well, and drag that up. And I think we got you, Tom.
There's no sound. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got you now. We're hearing you on the monitor.
Yeah, but look where it is.
Oh, that's unusual. Yeah, give Tom the whole screen there. Let's see what happens. Hey there, Tom. You hearing us? Perhaps not.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is there anybody hearing me?
Yes. Pop up
I'm
my picture
hearing
again,
nobody.
Ducky.
I
Come on,
wonder
split
what
the
I could
screen
do.
with us. Yeah, we're hearing you. We are hearing
Yeah,
you.
you can hear me?
Yes,
You hear me?
I do.
I should just keep talking then, even though
Absolutely.
I'm getting nothing back. Okay, I'm gonna think that something's going to happen. So what did I do? I did the cube. I did the. Okay, let me show you another shape. This is a dodecahedron. Dodeca, that means 12. So this has 12 faces, all pentagons. Okay. I call it the bubble jewel.
Oh my gosh.
Pythagoras thought it was the most sacred form in nature. It was a sin within the religion of the Pythagoreans to show this form to someone not initiated into their cult. So don't tell the Pythagoreans I showed it to you.
Golly, look at that. I can't even think that big.
So I don't know what we're going to do, Stevie. If you go to my website, you'll see my home phone number. If you called there, maybe you could tell me what I should do. Because I'm getting nothing from my phone. I don't know what to do to my phone to make it
Let me
so
close
that I
him
can
out.
hear you again.
And let him come
And
back
not
in.
unmute. Oops. Reconnect. Reconnect might be a good thing.
We're trying it, folks. Hang tough with us. See if Tom connects
Join.
back in here. Join. We should be getting a little ringy-dingy. Cross your fingers. Drum roll from the orchestra. A lady throws a baby from a balcony. The tension mounts. No. But no, Tom, go ahead and split the screen again, can you, Ducky? There we go. Oh, we've got, because we have three, it thinks we're bringing in 3 pictures. Interesting. Folks, I think I'm going to try closing. Sorry about this, folks. We're going to see if we can get this together. If not, I'll show you a couple of videos that Tom sent me that are really pretty cool. Go ahead and hit Tom's red button there and close him out on that thing as well. Now let's see if he can come back in. Folks, we're going to see if Tom can come back in. You've been watching, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Tom Noddy, the Bubble Guy, the Bubble Man, Mr. Bubble. Well, not Mr. Bubble, but not Mr. Bubble, but Mr. Bubble. And now we'll see if Tom can reconnect with either of his devices. This was one of my favorite. Did I get this for birthday or Christmas, Ducky? Who knows? It's great, and I treasure it. I don't like it, I love it. And Tom's going to try. Let's give him another couple of minutes and see if he can call me on one of his devices. I'll be ready for anything. Standing by. Hey Siri, call Tom Noddy. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's something happened. Hit the green icon there.
How about that?
That'll do. That'll do fine.
I still can't hear you here. Oh, I've got my sound off on that one. Now we're on my laptop.
Alrighty.
Oh, yes. Now I hear you.
Oh, you lucky devil, you. And we can hear you too, Tom. You're all set.
Okay, yeah, the camera won't be quite as good because on the laptop. That's why we were using the phone. but Frank Olivier called and cut us off.
Aye,
But I'll take these out anyway.
dead guy.
He called twice, actually,
Bang, zoom. Right.
which made me think he is watching.
Maybe he is. Yes, yes. Hey, Tom, do that one. You know the one. Do that one.
Yeah, right.
That was what he was saying.
So I was almost at the end. I'm going to show you of the act. I mean, I'll hang out here and we can talk about some other stuff, and I'll show you specifics. I'll answer questions if people have it. But let me show you one more to end the act portion.
There's something beyond the dodecahedron?
Yeah, actually, we'll show you the carousel. In fact, let's jump ahead. I'll show you the two-story carousel. There are 8 million stories in this carousel. This will be 2 of them. Fewer and fewer people laughing at that little reference. Okay. Oh, that's too small. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Then
Oh, yeah.
can you tell that they're spinning in opposite directions?
That is too wild. Yes, they sure are. Fantastic, Tom Noddy.
Yeah. So like that. Yeah, we rescued. I'm glad I was signed on twice so we could solve that. Good.
That's great. That's just fantastic. Thank you, Tom. Tom, you know, there's a video of you doing 2D stuff. Shall I pop
2D
that up?
bubble. Yeah. Let me. I mean, in the theaters now, 3D movies. Well, now I mean, the pandemic kind of kept us away from it, but 3D became really the thing in the modern era. 3D, everything's in 3D, and I thought, that's the big deal. I've been doing 3D act for decades now, and then I thought, okay, I'll work on it. I've got a 2D bubble act going. You're going to see just a portion of me kind of explaining the science of bubbles in 2 dimensions. Bubbles, if you look into suds, if you look into suds for a long time, when you're doing the dishes, look down, it looks like chaos. It looks like everything's happening. If you look into suds for a long time, you'll go crazy. I know, I've done it for years. There's madness. There's madness. But look again, and there's an order behind it. It's always 3 walls meeting along an edge, always at 3 equal 120-degree angles. It's always 4 edges meeting at a point at 109 degrees, 28 minutes, 16 seconds. That's California time. Those are the only 2. It looks like chaos. Looks like everything's happening. There's an exact and perfect and repeating order that nature always chooses because it's the minimum. And so that's the background a little bit. I used an overhead projector, the old style overhead projector, kind of, you wet a glass plate and you project it onto a screen like this. I had one here in my house and I hooked it up, and that's what we're going to see in the video.
Excellent, excellent. Ducky, would you hit bubbles 1 there? Oh.
So 2 dimensions. Let me start with a single bubble. Now that's a pretty good circle. That might be the closest thing you've ever seen to a perfect circle. They're all pretty good. But here, normally when you see 3 bubbles, they'll be in contact with each other and we get this. Yeah, 3 lines coming together at 3 equal 120-degree angles there in the center. That might be what you expect when you see 3 bubbles. 120, 120, 120. So with 4, what might you expect? Some people think it's going to be 90, 90, 90. Well, let's see. But it's not, is it? It's this odd tilted H shape. Here we have 3 coming together at 120, 120, 120. And here we have 3 coming together at 120, 120, 120. Even if we put one in the center, and we do get that kind of square, rounded square, we still get 3 coming together here, 3 coming together here, 3 coming together there, and 3 coming together here. Always at 3 equal 120-degree angles. Pentagon, hexagon. And this is the way the honeybees do it. You know, they like hexagons, they'll stack them all up. It's a minimal arrangement. It uses the smallest amount of wax when they're building their honeycombs. So they kind of stick with hexagons. And hexagons are built up of 120-degree angles. But that might be what you expect in 2 dimensions, 120. But maybe it looks like I'm doing this intentionally, putting them together into that arrangement with 3. Let me just show you what happens if I just randomly put some bubbles in the air and let them fall on this wet plate. That's a complex setting there. It looks like lots of things are happening. There are pentagons and heptagons and nonagons, and there are a lot of different shapes. Don't look at the shapes. Look at the lines. Look where the lines come together with other lines. Follow anyone to the point where it joins the others. It's 3, isn't it? It's always 3. Doesn't matter how complex the largest structure is. They always join 3 walls along an edge, always at 3 equal 120-degree angles. In all the suds there have ever been, it's a lot of suds. This is the minimal arrangement. And bubbles are fluid. They're always looking to minimize. In fact, when these outer bubbles start to pop, watch the bubbles that are left over. They'll start squirming around. They'll look for a place to rearrange themselves so that they end up with 3 walls meeting along an edge at 3 equal 120-degree angles. It's the minima. Bubbles are always looking for ways to organize themselves in minimal arrangements. And so like that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Why is it always 3? Why, Tom? Why?
It's the minima. They're so simple. Everything in nature is trying to minimize. A tree, when it's growing, you have the trunk and then a branch and then the trunk keeps going up. That's a 3-way junction.
Yeah.
When the branch branches, it's a 3-way junction. When the branches, it's a 3-way junction. When the the roots under the ground, always 3-way junctions. There's no other way. The veins in the leaves, it's a 3-way junction. The veins in your body, always 3. You'll never see a cross where they're coming to, or in a river. You'll never see a cross in a river. It's always a 3-way junction. If you took a big stone out to the concrete sidewalk in front of your house and smashed one of those concrete plates, almost, not all, but almost all the cracks would be 3-way junctions. This universe prefers a minima. But a lot of times it's really complicated. The tree isn't doing it at 120-degree angles. It's also trying to, spread a leaf in the sun. It's also trying to, reach over here and grow around this stone. It's it's life. Even the river is trying to get around its mud here. It's, it's loam over there. It's clay here. It's a little complicated, but there's still a 3-way junction. They're still finding good minima. Bubbles are not complicated. They're fluids, so they can keep moving until they arrive at the minima. You've never seen a three-dimensional structure made up of a fluid before, a geometric structure. Soap bubbles, they're really special, and they're trying to minimize. Surface tension is trying to drive them toward a minima, and they're fluid, so they can just keep moving until they find the exact minima, which is 120-degree angles. That's why at the highest levels of mathematics, they've studied soap bubbles for centuries. They're really important to mathematicians. They solve something called the plateau problems, having to do with finding a minima. We don't have good math for proving a minima. We don't. And so they've used soap films as an analog computer to do that for a long time. Architect in Germany built the Olympic Center in Munich in 1972 because he studied soap films. He allowed the films to show him what would be the minima. He photographed it and he built that. Because computers can't do it. They're getting closer because they told the supercomputers what the soap films found over and over and over. So now the computer's guessing where the soap film would go with this particular situation. But soap films are still the proofs of it. They're as close as we can get. And so they like the mathematics conferences and because they know this in theory, but they've never seen a guy do it and, make jokes while he was doing it before. They laugh at the jokes too.
That's great, especially in Germany, who has a reputation for,
They had me at the International Congress of Mathematics. That's where they give the Fields Medal, the Nobel Prize, for mathematicians. 900 mathematicians at Oranje Center in Berlin, and with a big video screen, projecting, showing close-ups of these bubbles. And I showed them a shape that Lord Kelvin had proposed as the ideal shape for uniform froth, that for over 100 years people had looked in froth for it, but nobody had ever. So meanwhile, I'm blowing bubbles for a living. I was playing in the Variety Theater in town too.
You write it off, baby. That's holy smokes, unbelievable. You traveled through London, did you?
Yeah, I lived for 6 months in London, busking back in '73.
73, Ducky. That was our question, just because Valerie lived in London for a while too, and we were wondering when that was for our
I was up by Hampstead Heath. There was a lot of people living in squats in my neighborhood. Mine, where I wasn't a squat, but I would hang out there and go down to Portobello Road and do my show and pass the hat.
Golly. What's next for you, Tom Noddy?
Yeah, well, right now, pandemic, right? So I'm not getting a lot of shows, but actually video is really good. All these close-ups I can give you guys here.
Yeah, this is it.
Days, I was living out of my backpack. People would pick me up hitchhiking, and if they took me home, I'd show them bubbles in the living room, and that's what my show was. And then, I would blow people's minds, colors, the angles. And then when I ended up on stage, there was so much more distance on stage that I changed the act kind of, but I could show you the forms, but I couldn't really show you the colors and the angles. Now I can again. As long as I'm doing these video things, getting this close and showing you really angles. I love that. So I've been doing a lot of that during pandemic. I've been floating bubbles on carbon dioxide gas. I bought an aquarium for the purpose. So I get some dry ice or mix some baking soda with vinegar and then the bubbles will just float on it. And the gas goes into the bubble, it gets heavier and it sinks down. And I'm trying to show the invisible gas coming into the bubble. What was that? I sent you another video there's going to be a gathering of bubble people in Spain. We had a huge gathering of bubble people in Wales year before last, like over 100 bubble performers. They kind of credit me as being the guy that started this thing.
I was going to say, sure thing, the father of the form, jeepers.
Well, they may be the president of the AOIBA, Association. I always get it wrong. I always want it to be an industrial union, amalgamated organization of industrial bubble. I don't know. But it's something else. Its association is in there. And we had over close to 100 bubble. Some came from Malaysia and some came, the internet really. So there were all these bubble performers. When I started doing this, when they first opened what was called Red China, I gave bubble jars to people who said they were going. I was a street performer. I wasn't going. But I gave bubble jars to people who said they were going. And they told me people there had never seen bubbles floating in the air before. when I was in Yugoslavia, when I was in Greece. They once in a while they said their mother with the hands could make a bubble, but not just bubbles floating in the air. I could gather a crowd and did just doing that.
Wow.
But now in China, all the good bubble liquid is coming from China now, and these professional bubble performers, and they're breaking the Guinness Book of World Record things and versions of stuff that I invented or new stuff that they're inventing. So there's this bubble phenomenon out there. And there's going to be a gathering in Spain, actually a Catalan region of Spain, within Spain. And they asked me if I would put together kind of a video greeting. I think they asked a number of bubble people to say hello, hola, and do a quick. And so I did that, but then I also made up this other video where I wanted to pose a question to them. And so I did it in Spanish. Just one time I used the Catalan word as well. But before I did the bubble cube. Let me show it to you a little bit here first. Because when I talk about it, I'm going to be speaking in Spanish, and some of your viewers. So here's the question, and I pose it in the video we're going to see. Is the bubble there, is it a bubble, that cube-shaped thing? Is it a bubble or is it a space between bubbles? I've been asked that by some of these math guys. And in the video, I prove either one of those.
What? What?
Either one? But I kept saying, and I kept saying this. When I do an action, I blow on it, and I kept repeating, nada se rompe. Nothing breaks. That when you hear me say, nada se rompe, it's written on the screen, nada se rompe. Nothing breaks. I did a thing to prove that it's a space between bubbles. And the key phrase that I repeated then was, nothing broke. The bubble got smaller, so nothing breaks. So it's a space between bubbles. And then at the end, we'll see where pero. But so let's see that video.
All right, here it comes.
Hello, I'm Tom Noddy, and this, in a moment, is the bubble cube. Burbuja del cubo. Tengo una pregunta. ¿Este cubo es burbuja o espacio entre burbujas? Ok, un momento. Dos bombones. Solo y solo. Now, together. Double bubble. English. Okay. Solo y solo. Nada se rompe. Nada. Just air. And ¿correcto? Cubo. ¿Es burbuja o espacio entre burbujas? Tengo una pregunta. ¿Este cubo es burbuja o espacio entre burbujas?
What? What?
They're not what we think they are. They're nothing like. We are really familiar with how the world of solids works. And we know a little bit about liquids. You know, they're amorphous. They take the shape of their container. That's liquids. And we know a lot about, rubbing solids together. We know, but these are taking geometric forms, regular, always the same angles, really regular geometric forms, but they're fluids. And they continue to obey liquid laws. I did the love bubble. The two bubbles became one.
And thank you for that, by the way. It was lovely.
Sure, you guys. But that surprises us. Oh, the two bubbles became one. That shouldn't surprise us. We've seen two water drops on a window pane come together and make one water drop. That's what liquids do.
Yeah, true enough.
But we forget that we're looking at liquids. We see spheres, and we're thinking of balls, apples, orange. If I took two apples and slammed them together and they became one apple, that would be right amazing. But they're fluids. And they surprise us because we think we're looking at where they're not what we think they are. They continue to surprise me. I swear, 50 years, and last year I found out I could bounce a soap bubble on steel wool. I had no idea. I don't have it here right now. I probably shouldn't even say it if I'm not going to show it to you. But
next time around, we got to have you back. We'll have you back.
You bet.
Let's see, the steel wool and the carbon dioxide would be cool too.
Right.
Lordy. Well, you're right. This medium, I think for a lot of performers, we're all real eager to get back out and stuff live, but this does have its benefits. I agree completely.
Yeah. And I saw it when for the longest time, it was new vaudeville. I was producing shows, and I had, my slogan was entertainment for a post-television generation. I had all these great acts and come out from behind the TV, and the emblem I used on my posters showed a broken television out in the field, all broken through the screen, plants, vines growing through entertainment. It was just, I was anti-TV, and I was on the road, so I didn't have a home anyway, so I didn't have a TV. But then my friend Avner the Eccentric.
Oh, Avner, sure.
And Avner said, yeah, but Tom, you've invented a new thing. Nobody's ever done it before. Somebody's going to copy it. And he doesn't have the thing that you have about not going on TV. And he's going to go on TV. And when he does, he's going to be the bubble man. And you're going to be doing his act for the rest of your life. But it just sounded like truth the first time he said it. I went, oh, my God, that's right. So I agreed to go on. Okay, I should get myself on, some kind of...
Johnny Carson.
And I went on That's Incredible and Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And then Carson had me back, and then Carson had me back, and then they started calling me all over the world. They were especially in Europe and South America. They still had variety shows. We didn't have any. We had some late night shows that had once in a while an act, mostly comics. But in the rest of the world, they still had variety shows, so I fit right into a thing that was happening for them.
Yeah,
so they started flying me all over the world and put me on TV for blowing bubbles. My girlfriend and I would, get into the hotel. Some guy would meet us at the airport, and they'd drive us to the place, and they'd put us in a Sheraton, and we'd get in, we'd lock the door and laugh. What are you kidding for blowing bubbles?
Blowing bubbles, man. Good on you. You bet. Sure. Well, I can see why this is hugely entertaining and hugely instructive and philosophically challenging as well. The whole thing about the minima, and all of that's fascinating. That's part of my brain that I've never visited before. That's just brand new stuff. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Good heavens. Man.
You know where I saw it early on. I took a job one time in a factory in New Jersey. I was hitchhiking around America. I liked living on the road. Turns out I was good at, living off of my wits. I had nothing. I was really one of the brokest people I ever met. I didn't have any kids, so those people feel broker. But I really, for myself, literally had nothing. I was fine with that. Pick me up, hitchhiking, take me. There you go. You got a bed would be nice.
Yeah.
Food. I got really skinny. I see some of the photos now, and I thought, oh, I was so healthy. No, that's malnutrition. The photos, but I loved it. And then I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to go to Europe, so I went back to New Jersey, lived with my parents, and took a job, first job, any job, stupid job, any job, factory. So I went around to and they said yes. Okay, I took the job. And the day I took the job, I flipped calendar pages, and at random I circled the day I would quit this stupid job. I'll work it every day, overtime if they have it. But when I came home at night, I just have to not go out because I'm not making a lot. It's a factory job. I just have to not go out. I just have to save every penny. Just my friends would call, no, I'm busy. I needed to entertain myself. So my first thought was yo-yos. When I was a kid, when I was 9, I had a yo-yo. Some kids, 9-year-olds, could take the yo-yo, they could loop the loop, round the world, rock the cradle, build spaghetti. They could, woo, woo, woo. I wasn't one of those 9-year-olds. I could loop the loop, over the walls or something, walk the dog. But I thought, I'm 21 years old. I can figure out a yo-yo. Come on. I'm smarter. I'm more coordinated. I got a yo-yo. I came home every night. My father's going, Jesus Christ, you're 21, you got a yo-yo?
And the hair. What's
I
with
got
the hair,
really
Tom?
good with it. Yeah, but I got really good with it. Every night, every night. And on weekends, I'd go to New York and see if I could do street perform. And I got really good with the yo-yo, and then I got bored because, it's a yo-yo. I was 21. So I said, oh, but no, that's good. What's another kid's toy? What was one? Those wooden paddles with the elastic, little red ball. 600 was my record. 600. My father was going, jeez, this thing's really stupid. Go back to the yo-yo.
Never thought you'd hear that.
Yeah. And then I got bored. And then I thought, okay, what else? Bubbles, but there aren't any trick. What do you do with bubbles? I guess you make a big one, and then I guess you make like a bigger one. Okay, I'll do bubbles until I think of something else. So I did bubbles, and I never got bored. I just started trying to make the big one. I got good at holding them up. I got good at feeling the weight, catching them when they fall and come back. You can't come back too quick. They're slippery little. But I developed all this handling them things, and then I started. And the colors were so nice.
Oh man,
the colors were really nice.
Yeah.
And I started every night for the rest of that 10-month gig. And when I quit the job and I went to Europe, I was good at bubbles. I'm better now.
Man, oh man. I was so glad you did. What a thing. What a thing. And you started this whole thing with hundreds of bubble artists all over the world now. Fantastic.
Yeah, somebody who does the internet better than I do, he estimated 3,000 bubble performers, people making their living, or part of their living at least, bubble birthday party events and lots of outdoor bubbles, and so somebody else came up with this device where you have 2 sticks and a loop of string, and they make these giant bubbles. And long chain polymers, you can make bubbles big as school buses and stuff now. But it really kind of stemmed from this, or so they all credit me with being
all
the guy.
From
so
you.
they made me president of that organization.
Who else, for God's sake? Yeah, jeez. All because you couldn't do yo-yo. You got bored with yo-yo.
That's right. That's right. Got bored with the yo-yo.
That's fantastic. Just love it.
I started this to say, and so at some point I'm sitting there watching it and just watch. My whole goal in the beginning was I'll blow a big one, I'll hold it, and I'll watch it until it pops. The colors are moving down, and so. By the way, the different colors on a bubble are different thicknesses of soap film. Every color is a very specific thickness of the film. Where you see magenta, that's 211 nanometers thick. That's what magenta means. So
wow.
I would just do that. I would just stare at a bubble. I'd look at the reflections. I'd see that the reflection on the other side was inverted. I would just, I'm sitting in the chair looking at the colors, man. It was the 70s. And I was doing that. And at some point, I was looking through the bubble, and my father was watching the TV news, and they had a new thing on the weather in those days. They would have satellite photos of the weather patterns coming in across the country. These spiral shapes. And I realized that's the same shapes, those paisley, staring at on the bubble for a long. And then I realized, the atmosphere, the troposphere, where all the weather happens. That's where all the fluid. That's like this thick compared to. I mean, in proportion to the size of the sphere, it's a lot like a bubble in proportion to thickness. And this and here and they had just then gotten where they had satellite photographs, and now we will set it in motion. They said that was the new thing. And so instead of just a single photo, you'd see a sequence of photos, and the weather system was doing exactly this thing. And I went, oh, maybe this isn't just a children's toy I'm absorbed in here. Maybe this has to do with other stuff.
Wow. Tom, that's wonderful. It just for folks that may want to play with this stuff themselves, have you got a favorite flavor of bubble mixture that you like to use? Is there a brand out there that is Tom Noddy approved?
Yeah, because you asked before, you saw me do this trick before we went on the air. You asked, I did a bubble where I caught it, I put it on my tongue. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I always warn people it's okay. It only tastes bad the first 2 years. But and then you did ask about flavor at that time in a different sense. They have made candy bubbles, and they have catnip bubbles for your cats, and
Catnip bubbles, Ducky.
bacon flavored bubbles for your dog. And some dogs like bubbles, some cats like bubbles. If they do, they're thinner than wavelengths of light. So that's why they have colors. They're thinner than wavelengths of light. So there's not a lot of catnip there. I spilled some of the liquid onto the rug, and our cat, like they do with catnip. But he wasn't interested in the bubble. It doesn't have that. So some cats are interested in some aren't. But you're asking now about a different thing. You're asking about the brand of bubble stuff. It used to be I went to Woolworths. I developed my whole act on actually the name. You did an ad in the Bubble. You've got it on your T-shirt, Mr. Bubble. That was a bubble bath. And it was sometimes confused because at Woolworths, the jars of bubbles, little 4-ounce jars that they always sold, initially it was called Wonder Bubbles, good name. And then a company bought them up and they changed the name to Mr. Bubbles with an S at the end.
Oh my God, was there a fight about
yeah,
that?
Mr. Bubble, and then they'd sell them that stuff. No, for the kids. Yeah, Mr. Bubbles. That company went out of business when Woolworths closed. So then I started mixing up some stuff. If you wanted to mix up your own stuff, 16 parts of water, 1 part of Dawn.
Dawn.
Nothing else is this. Joy is the second best, but Dawn is really the best. People overseas were asking Americans to ship them some Dawn. And we found out that no, in England, Procter & Gamble also makes something they call it Fairy. It's the same. So
Fairy liquid.
Fairy liquid.
Yeah.
Just as good as Dawn. 16 to 1. For the people who are not metric, like Americans, it's easy. 16 to 1, that means a gallon to a cup. Or if you just make it a little bit, a tablespoon to a cup.
Right.
That's 16 to 1.
Fantastic.
And then you could make it better. Some people tell you to put glycerin in it. I don't. It would help. It's probably helps. You're not really trying to make it thicker. You're not trying to make it stronger. Strong is the wrong way to think about bubbles. It's a fluid. You don't want strong bubbles. Jugglers often write to me email and stuff. I want to be able to juggle bubble. And I ask them why. Well, because they're so delicate. I'll really impress people. And then the first time one of them falls and bounces and rolls, or you're not impressing anybody. In fact, if you want to do that, you want a strong one, here's what I recommend. Get some balls.
You heard it here first, folks.
So you're not trying to make it stronger. Glycerin would help a little bit. It's a humectant, and there are some things. But something better happened. They came up with long-chain polymers. There's some you could right away. There's companies, veterinarians have this powder they use. They wet their hands and they sprinkle this powder on, and they become super slippery. Ooh, and then they can go inside and help the calf be born. Polyethylene oxide. It's a long chain polymer, and there are other places that you could find those right now, either in bedside table. it's called a personal lubricant.
Ah.
They're really slippery. They're really same reason the vet is using it. And
It's kind of chilling when you do this, Tom. I just want to tell you, especially close up. It's a little.
so there are several different versions of PEO. It's really good. Other people use guar.
That was the world's strangest band, isn't it? Isn't that the name of the world's strangest band? I think so. GWAR. That's different from guar.
Oh yeah, no, GUAR, and you go to the health food store and they sell it as a powder. It's a thickener for soups and stuff like that. But it also has this kind of quality, and you can make it up using guar as the base.
Wow.
And that's why when we were kids, they didn't have bubbles as big as school buses, and now they do. Those guys down in the parks that made the giant things and stuff. We didn't used to have that. When I put myself inside of a bubble with a hoop that I used, nobody had ever seen anything like it. But now that Guinness and the guys, and there's a guy in New Zealand, Alan McKay, and he made a bubble that was 105 feet long.
Holy smokes!
Amazing photograph. It's like a bubble. The photo was like a bubble this big and a guy that big.
I'm gonna look that up right away.
Alan McKay.
Tom Noddy, we've kept you here for an hour plus, and thank you very much.
Oh, is it? What a pleasure, Stevie.
We got to get you back if we can get you back before the end of the year sometime for more, because now is when the comments and questions are going to happen. I think a lot of folks have just been like me with their jaws on their chests, forgetting to type in their questions. There's going to be tons more questions and comments. So.
Well, I'd love to do that. And that's what I do when I do shows at science centers. I do the act, and then I take questions, and sometimes it's where I end up thinking of places to go with it. Kid questions. Can you do a giraffe?
Right. Exactly. That's not quite the same thing.
Physics questions.
We got one physics question for you here.
Green bubbles and stuff. Yes.
Are the red or blue colors equal to the thickness or the thinner? Are they thick or thinner part of the bubble? I'm not sure exactly.
Red and green. Red and green is the thickest part. Because the pinkish red and green, when you first blow a bubble, if you hold it for a while, you'll see this happen. Or if you even just made a sheet of soap film on a frame or a ring or something, you'd see it. After a while, they settle down, and it really becomes, if you could see it, and you can't, a wedge-shaped, thicker at the bottom, and because the liquid's running down. So all the thicker colors are at the bottom, and what you'll see is pink and red and green and red and green and red and green and red and green. That's multiple wave interference colors stacked up. They're kind of a muddy color, not this purely beautiful red, magenta, and the colors that happen later. I mean, with wave interference, because you have constructive interference, it brightens the intensity of the colors, in addition to destructive wave interference that isolates them. So you get some, but all those colors, the reds and greens at the bottom, are the thicker colors. After a while, when the first color you'll see after a number of red and greens, then you'll see a blue, a really nice, gorgeous blue. And then there's a violet that happens, and then there's an orange. And after the orange, every color after that you see, it's hard to see the orange. It just happens for a moment. All the colors above that are literally thinner than all wavelengths of light. Any color that you see that is not red and green is thinner than some wavelengths of light. The film is thinner than wavelengths of light, except maybe in the reds and greens. But otherwise, thinner than wavelengths. They're just barely here on the physical plane with us. So bubbles, they've rightly always been pictured with fairies in them and plane and stuff, because they are just barely here. That's why they're such nearly perfect spheres. They're not distorted by gravity. Everything else in this gravity well where we live, crystals, when they're starting to grow, they eventually grew them in space because they want to become imperfect. The soap bubbles are nearly perfect here. There's a little bit of gravity. The drop at the bottom. Liquid's running to the bottom. Gravity is omnipresent. It's going to be
not just a good idea, as they say.
But it's the electrical. So we're looking at one force. I mean, in the case of gravity, it's are nearly really good spheres from a distance because there's only this. It overwhelms all the electrical, any other forces that are just overwhelmed. We're looking at one force. In the case of bubbles, gravity doesn't count, almost. And so we're looking at the electrical attraction of water molecules for soap molecules for water molecules, one force acting, and there again we see minimal forms.
Ducky, I got dibs on the dishes tonight.
That's it.
I'm going to trip out on the dishes. Tom Noddy, thank you very much. Good heavens.
Thank you. Thanks a
It's
lot.
just me and Valerie applauding for lots and lots of people online that are applauding. You know, could we have one last glimpse of the tip jar info there, Ducky? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And please know, folks, that all donated monies will be split by me and Tom. And yes, every little bit helps. No contribution too small or too large. They're all just great. One more time, folks. A hand for Tom Noddy. My world is not going to be is never going to be the same, and I'm not joking about that. Look at that.
Hey, you can't blow an ugly bubble. Why not try it? You just can't. Just fool with them.
Words to live by. Thanks, Tom Noddy. And there it is. See you down the road.
You bet.
All right.
Congrats. Best wishes.
Oh, criminy. Just unbelievable, folks. How about that? To know exactly what to expect, because I've seen Tom's act a number of times at the Moisture Festival, and I think probably years before that. But that was wonderful to get the insight and the scientific stuff and the philosophical stuff. You never know what you're going to run into here on the Monday Night Thing. And that's a true fact. Well, folks, next week, I'm proud as punch to tell you that next week, I'll be hosting National Fingerstyle Guitar Champion Eric Lugash, who stopped by my shop and played for the folks at Mighty Fine Guitars. Thank you for asking. It's the name of the shop, mightyfineguitars.com. A few years back, and I can attest to the fact that he is truly terrific. That'll be Monday, April 26th, and on into the spring and into the summer. You'll find right here on the Monday Night Thing, Sylvia Harold and her hub, Chuck Irvin, as well as fingerstylers Mark Lemaire, Michael Chapdelaine, Kinloch Nelson, Nate Lopez, Vicky Genfan, and Peppino D'Agostino, and on and on and on. Well, let me find my little, I guess I don't need it. Thank you, Tom Noddy. Thank you, Ramon Raquello and his orchestra. Thank you to the June Taylor dancers. Mostly huge thanks to executive producer, my own dear Miss Valerie May. And of course, huge thanks to all y'all for tuning in. Good night, America, and good afternoon tomorrow, Australia. That still freaks me out, but I guess it's true.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Make love with a guitar if you should meet a sweet senorita. Romance with a guitar, and when you find her, the strings will bind her. Make love with a guitar, always the right time, daylight or night time. Ah, she'll not withstand it, and as I planned it, she'll say, I love you. On my guitar, I strike a chord like this, it always brings a kiss. I never miss. Speaking of love, you can go very far, no matter who you are, if you play a guitar, if you play a guitar. never miss. You can go very far, no matter who you are, if you play a guitar. Make love with a guitar, always the right time, daylight or night time. Oh, she'll not withstand it, and as I planned it, she'll say